Welcome to another vlog on Splee and Glob Monster Defense. This time I'm gonna take you on a journey through our game world. When designing new worlds, we couldn't just jump the gun and freely paint everything that comes into our minds. We needed to first achieve an overall idea for that. And in our case, that was bringing the underwater world to the surface. This provided us with a very wide color range, where green is actually very rare. But that played out in our favor because the main resource, the goo, is green, and thus it looks very important because it's so rare. Another thing we did was to actually reverse the roles of small and big. So we used weeds that people would normally pull out of the garden and made them big trees. We also combined that with lots of underwater colors, so it actually looks very alien-like. So in essence, we created a strange new world that at the same time the players can relate to.
Hi, my name's Sebastian. I'm the producer here at Frame 6. I'm responsible for the numbers and the schedule of the production, so I have to keep care that we'll all meet our deadlines. When I'm not pushing numbers, I'm also responsible for the 3D animations and the UI of the game. So for the game we tried to achieve a miniaturized look. We wanted to have some sort of real-time strategy appeal to the visuals of the game, while at the same time giving it some more visual depth. But of course the game shouldn't be too noisy, so we can still see what's going on the battlefield as a player. So one of the things we did was to implement a new kind of terrain shader. So since the look was very miniaturized in our art direction, we couldn't just use alpha blending, which is the typical technique used for terrains, but instead we wanted to have these grass patches and rocks stand out to simulate that the terrain would have real depth. And we achieved that by implementing one of the assets from the Unity asset store, which is the Relief Terrain Pack, which, by the way, was a large help for the entire production, really. So what we did there was add height maps to each of the individual terrain layers, so we could use hand-painted textures such as the magenta-colored grass and simulate grass patches through the height maps. But at the same time, since we have such a bright color palette, we also needed to make sure that the characters stand out from the background. We achieved that through two different means. The first is a very cold, very chromy color palette for the bots, so they're quite different from the entire environment. For our monsters, who are just as colorful as the entire world, we implemented a custom shader that would add strong rim lights to the different characters, which we're not using on the different environment assets. So depending on the lighting, whether it's day or night, we would also always have the characters stand out from the background.